You ever see someone get kicked in courtroom? Not pushed, not yelled at, kicked. Right there in front of the judge, the clerk, the whole packed room. Yeah, that happened. I watched Officer Brent Collier, white as the paper on the judge's desk, take a step toward this woman. Nova Bennett, quiet black, decorated Navy SEALan, just lash out with his knee like he was moving a chair out of the way. Maybe he thought she'd stay quiet, blend into the rows of faces, nobody caring. Maybe he thought he was sending a message. Problem was, she wasn't just anyone, and she sure as hell wasn't quiet. Let me back up a second. That day, Birmingham's courthouse buzzed like it always does before a big case. Papers shuffled, shoes tapped, people murmured behind their hands, pretending they weren't nervous. Third row from the front, that's where Nova sat, back straight, hands in her lap, eyes fixed ahead and fidget didn't shift. Like a statue built for waiting, or a soldier used to counting the seconds before the storm breaks. 10 feet away, at the defense table, sat her little brother, Tarek. He looked way too young for the charges hanging over his head, glancing back at her every few seconds, looking for that tiny nod she gave. "I'm here," she'd tell him, just with her eyes, and that's all he needed. Across the aisle, Officer Collier slouched with his arms crossed, wearing that smug, don't care grin you only see on men who've gotten away with too much for too long. The prosecutor leaned in, whispered something. Collier chuckled low, ugly, just enough to make you shiver. Nova didn't react, didn't glare back. She glanced at him, sure, but only long enough for him to notice, then fixed her attention on Tarek. She knew the game. She played harder ones in places with no courtrooms and no gavels. Suddenly, the bailiff called out, "State versus T.K. Bennett," and the noise died so fast it felt like a trapdoor opening under the room. Tarek stood up, wrists chained, the clink echoing off the marble. Nobody talks about that sound, how it slaps the air, makes the whole trial real. Nova's fingers knotted tight for a split second, but she didn't blink. The judge came in, old, gray, peering through his glasses like the world was written too small. "Let's proceed," he said, tapping the gavel, like justice was just another item on a list. The defense attorney called him an older than 28 rose with tired eyes, voice just above a whisper. "Your Honor," defense calls MS. Nova Bennett. Now the shift started. People craned their necks. Collier's smile wobbled. Nova stood, not fast, not dramatic, but with a slow, steady grace like she measured every step for landmines. Even the bailiff straightened when she walked past. On the stand, Nova's voice was calm, clipped, not a wasted word. "Petty Officer First Class, Navy SEAL, Team 7. The words just hung there, heavy, like a secret weapon. The attorney asked about the night Tarek was arrested. Nova laid out the story. Plane picked her up from the airport. They went home. A neighbor brought food. Security footage backed it up. Later, they rushed to urgent care. When Tarek got sick, discharge papers in hand. Every detail lined up tight, irrefutable. She finished, thanked the court, stepped down. And that's when Collier moved. He got up, shifted, and stuck out his knee deliberate, sharp. The impact jolted Nova. She staggered, caught herself, stood tall. The room froze. The judge missed it, so did the clerk, but the back rows didn't. Especially not the little girl who turned to her mom and asked, "Why'd that man kick her?" Nova didn't yell, didn't flinch. She steadied herself on the witness stand and asked the judge, "Your Honor, may I speak?" You could feel the air tighten. "I've jumped from helicopters under fire," she began, voice clear. "I've had IEDs blow, so close the ground shook. But I've never been attacked by a police officer, not in a courtroom, not in my country." Absolute silence. The judge, jaw tight, ordered Collier to leave. Collier, for once, lost that smirk, and as he brushed past Nova, he muttered, "You just made a mistake." Nova replied, barely moving her lips, "So did you." Doors closed behind him. For a long second, nobody breathed. That's when the story changed no longer just Tarek's case, but what happened to Nova in plain view to a black veteran in a place meant for justice. Outside, a reporter's camera started streaming. Inside, the room's mood shifted, questions sparking in every head. Out in the hallway, Tarek waited, tie loosened, hands trembling. Nova sat beside him, didn't say a word. Tarek whispered, They want me to take a deal. 3 years if I plead guilty. They say I look angry, that my silence means guilt. Nova asked, "Did you do it?" He shook his head, eyes desperate. "No, I swear." She nodded, "I know. But that's not what matters to them. What matters is how easy it is to shut the door on you." She told him, "If you sign, that's a sentence for life." He confessed, "I don't want to die in there, Nova." The weight of everything, their father, the system, sitting heavy in the silence. Then Marcus, a friend, hustled up hospital badge logs and hand evidence to prove Tarek's alibi. He warned Nova, "You know who Collier is, right? Your old office investigated him, nothing stuck, but he holds a grudge." Nova's pulse chilled. This wasn't random. It was personal. She hugged Tarek, reminding him, "You're not alone." But she knew, deep down, this was bigger than just Tarek now. The system was circling its wagons. That evening, in the parking lot, Malik Rowe showed UPA, quiet man from Nova's past, now a federal agent. "Collier filed a complaint," Malik told her. "He says you threatened him, using your military background. Worse, he warned, someone was suppressing the courtroom footage, relabeling it as a glitch. You made enemies, Nova. Quiet ones." As a black SUV cruised by, Nova realized this wasn't paranoia. This was protocol. She scribbled a name. Terrence Halt, one of Collier's old cases, disappeared from the system. Never heard from again. "You think there's a list?" Malik asked. "I think there's a pattern," Nova answered. That night, Nova waited for the house to go quiet, then powered up an old laptop, hacking her way into court security archives. She found the raw footage clear as Day Collier kneeing her in the hip, her stagger, his smirk. She copied the video 3 times, flash drive, hard drive, DVD hidden in a child's book. Then the lights flickered, cameras blinked, read someone was watching. She moved fast, by the book, ready for whatever came next. She'd learned in war, don't wait to be rescued. 2 days later, the video was everywhere. Collier went on TV, lawyer at his side, spinning lies, "She's unstable." "I was defending myself." The old playbook. Social media pounced, headlines churned. But then, a twist, a live stream from Terrence Halt himself. Missing kid, now at a group home. He looked into the camera, trembling, and said, "I remember what Collier did to me. I was scared, so I stayed quiet. But if MS Bennett can stand up, so can I." Suddenly, it wasn't just Nova's word against Collier, it was a dam breaking. Within hours, civil rights groups called for an investigation into Collier's whole record. The city buzzed, college symposia, murals, debate teams, everyone asking, how did this happen and what now? In court, a new prosecutor stepped up, crisp and direct. "We're dropping all charges against Tarek Bennett." A murmur swept the room. Judge nodded, gavel struck. Tarek was free. No cheers, just a collective exhale. As they left, reporters asked Nova if she'd press charges. She paused, then smiled just a little, the kind of smile that says you've already won. "We don't need to," she answered. "Justice already filed the case itself." The clip went viral again, not for outrage, but for dignity. The system had to answer for itself for once. Collier, meanwhile, was indicted on 3 federal counts, his mugshot on every news feed. Then, a front page exposed the Brent Doctrine blew open a decade of cover-ups, naming the supervisors who'd signed off, the whistleblowers forced out, the whole rotten root. Malik's name came up, reassigned, suspended. Nova read it all, sitting at the same kitchen table her father once did, sunlight slicing through blinds, a flag on her lap that meant something different now. Calls came in, reform committees, invitations to speak. Nova just texted back, "I don't advise. I rewrite the playbook." She watched Tarek, standing taller, no longer flinching. For the first time in years, he looked at peace, not cured but stronger. Out on the balcony, beneath the Birmingham lights, she unfolded her father's flag, not to mourn, but to remember. Truth never knocks loud, he'd told her once, but it always finds a way in. Tonight that felt true. Maybe the world hadn't changed overnight, but something cracked open, something that couldn't be patched over. Because this time someone stayed in the 3rd row, didn't flinch, didn't fold, didn't forget, and when the moment came, she stood. If this story made you feel something, anger, hope, whatever it is, don't let it go. Ask yourself, why did Nova stand her ground with nothing but truth? Maybe justice doesn't always wear a badge or a robe. Sometimes it wears scars. Sometimes it walks in silent, but leaves the whole system echoing. If you believe these stories matter, if you think voices like Nova's need to be heard, hit like, share your thoughts below, tell us what justice means to you. Is it ever really served or just survived? And if you want to see more stories that make the powerful nervous, you know where to find us. Thank you for listening.